Good morning and welcome to episode 12 of Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. I'm Tom Moore. I'm broadcasting from Farmers Electric Studio in downtown Clovis, New Mexico. And Farmers Electric is an electric utility, electric distribution utility, cooperative, serving the high plains of eastern New Mexico. So, welcome. Speaking of welcome, we have a shout out. We hadn't had a shout out in a while, so I'm going to give a shout out to our IT manager, Glenn Barlibin's nephew and his wife. So, Justin and Madison, thank you for listening. Also, his kiddos, Jenna, Liam, and Jace Barlibin. Hopefully, they're all listening this morning, this fine Saturday morning. And if they happen to have any pets, welcome to them as well. Thanks for listening. All right. Well, today we're going to devote the entire show, except for a short This Day in History portion, to electric vehicles, EVs. Now, I have a little knowledge, I have a little experience with EVs because for the last 5 years, my company vehicle has been a Tesla Model 3. You know, and in the beginning, I was a little skeptical, but, you know, it pretty much won me over. My brother asked me recently, with my experience with an EV, would I purchase one myself? And the short answer is, I likely would. I don't think I would buy one brand new. I would feel very comfortable buying one that's 3 or 4 years old and well taken care of, just like you would, a combustion engine vehicle, the typical gasoline powered vehicle. You'd want to check them out just like you would, Carfax and all that good stuff, and look them over real well and interview the owner. And if it's been one owner, that's great. They'll have a lot of insight for you before you make that purchase, that leap. But like I am with any vehicles, the electric vehicle, I would want to let someone else pay the depreciation on it. That's why I wait. And if I got a 3-4-year-old vehicle, maybe even an old as 5-year-old vehicle, as long as it doesn't have that many miles on it, tires are in good shape, so I don't have to turn right around and buy new tires. I might do it. I wouldn't be afraid to by any means. But I'd say the biggest con of any electric vehicle right now that's not hybrid. Hybrid is an electric vehicle and a gas-powered vehicle. So the chance of you being stuck on the side of a highway and just completely dead and no ability to move is less likely with a hybrid than it is with an all-electric vehicle. So what the term has been coined is range anxiety. And it's real, folks. It is very real, particularly since the charging infrastructure is not where it needs to be yet. And I've been saying that for 5 years. It's gotten a little better. But range anxiety is real. And to describe range anxiety is this. You're driving along and you pass a town, and the next town's not for another 40 or 50 miles, and you knew you needed gas, but you got sidetracked by whatever, and you're too far gone to turn around, and your low fuel light, your reserve light comes on, and you're thinking, am I going to make it to the next gas station? That's range anxiety. It's even greater with electric vehicles because, again, the infrastructure is not where it needs to be. I think initially when there was a real push for electric vehicles pre-2020, the idea was, and I think Oklahoma was the first to get there, and they might have reached it in 2020, was on U.S. and state highways, including interstates, that every 50 miles there would be a level 3 quick charger for electric vehicles. There are three sizes of chargers: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 is the one that you find on the highways. And in some towns, obviously, that sit alongside highways. For instance, Tucumcari. They've got, at the Holiday Inn Express in Tucumcari, New Mexico, they have about 6 Tesla chargers, level 3, and I've used them often. And then at one of the convenience stores there, it's a prominent convenience store in New Mexico. They don't need any free advertising, but they have 2 level 3 fast chargers right off the interstate. So that makes it pretty convenient. But again, we're not always traveling the interstates, are we? Now, if you're talking about your daily commute, it's not a big deal. It's when you're leaving town and driving on a highway, and you don't want to be the next meme about some poor guy that's sitting there in his Tesla and he's called some wrecker service to come charge his batteries with a generator. You don't want to be that guy. I certainly didn't want to be that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. So what do? You do your homework. You find out where these chargers are, and your cars will tell you. Mine's smart enough to tell me when the next charger is, Tesla charger, and how many slots are available, and if it's operating at 100% or whatever. I've gotten on there and thinking I've got a charge, 20 miles ahead of me, and then it turns out there's a power outage. And so I didn't have any charging available, so I had to go to fortunately for me, I had enough charge to get me to the next spot on my destination. But yeah, I've had the car. I like the car. It's fast. It's definitely a conversation piece. It's unbelievably fast. So fast that I wouldn't trust a teenager with one. No way. I wouldn't trust most adults with one. They're just, when you can go realistically 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and that's not ludicrous mode. I mean, that's your basic dual motor all 4-wheel drive, which mine is. So 4.4 seconds, very, very fast. But they slow down fast as well. I mean, I don't know what the braking distance is at 300-400 feet or whatever, however they measure that, but it has regenerative braking, so you learn not to use the brake unless you absolutely have to. I call it one pedal driving. It's kind of like a golf cart. If you don't want to go fast, you get off the accelerator, the pedal, and it starts to use the regenerative braking, and that charges your battery a little bit, so it extends the range of your vehicle. But you do feel it. You do just feel this reverse thrust, I guess, if you will, on your body. And you can feel it slowing down quickly, and it will come to a complete stop. I found a couple of negative things about mine along the way. One of them, I coined the term on this one personally. I think it's called phantom braking. And the first time it happened to me, and it only happens when I'm on cruise control. So I'm cruising down the highway, put on cruise control, and taking a sip of my coffee. I just hadn't looked at my phone because you can also do hands-free. And I just set it down. I went back to hands-on, but I still had the cruise control on, but I just reached over for my coffee. So the cell phone is sitting on the console, and the coffee's in my hand. And for some reason, the car thought it saw something in front of me. That's the phantom part of it. And then the braking came, and it didn't just brake slowly. It almost slammed on what I would describe as slammed on the brakes. So I spilled the coffee all over my shirt. I'm going to a meeting, so I was frustrated as heck. My phone went flying off the console into the floor, bouncing around. And man, that was my first experience with phantom braking. It happened again, but this time I was a little more prepared. I wasn't drinking, and I didn't have my phone out, laying on the console. I was kind of prepared. and it happened again. So it's happened actually now over the last 3 years. I didn't notice in the first couple of years. I don't know if it's a glitch that's come on in the first 2 years or what, but I need to look into it a little more. Now, there is a service center over in Lubbock, Texas. I need to take it over there anyway. And this is another con. I can't use any other chargers except Tesla chargers because it doesn't have the proper hardware. So I think it was 2021 and newer that had the hardware where I could use the other type chargers other than Tesla. So I'm going to actually have to take it in. I think it's going to be $500 or $600 expense. Back to charging. So I charge at work. It's 208 voltage, and it's on a 30 amp breaker. So it charges around 6,000 watts. And I charge it in the morning if I get here and I know I've got, say, 15% of my battery left and I want to charge it to 80, and that's what's recommended, like 80%. It'll extend the life of your battery, or it'll extend the time the battery will degrade. So will start to degrade. So in other words, if I charge it to 100 every time in town driving, that will start the degradation process a little sooner and speed it up. And I don't want that. You want that range. So right now my range is right around 300 miles optimal. I mean, and that would be without using the heater, and that's the thing, if you're in a gas powered vehicle, you use the heat from the engine being hot to heat your vehicle. Well, with an electric vehicle, you don't have a hot engine. So you actually have to have heat strips, electric heater. So that will use the battery up. And then, of course, AC. So optimal would be a flat, no incline, no driving in the mountains, that kind of thing. A flat road, no air conditioning, no heater, and I could probably get 300 miles in one charge to 100%. It has to be. Now, that would be 100%. You want to do that on the highway for trips. But in town, you don't want to go higher than 80. Now, most people would have a home charger, level 2. And that's what I described, basically, level 2. But it would be 240 with a 30 amp or 50 amp breaker. Charging at 6,000 to 7,500 watts. And basically, let me give you an idea how long it takes to charge. So let me think about it. So if I came in at 15 or 20% and I wanted it to 80%, it would take me about 7 hours to charge. Now, if I was topping it off every night at home, if I had a home charger, but I really don't want to make that investment since it's a company car, if I had a charger at home, I'd just top it off every other night if I'm just driving around town. So every other day I'd start with a full charge. And that's great. That's awesome. Short commutes, these are hard to beat. I mean, the total cost of ownership is about half. If you drove a gas-powered vehicle, the same style, a sedan, 4-door, midline to luxury car, which cost about the same amount of money. And I'm going to tell you what we got in this one. It cost $50,000. There's a lot of vehicles out there now that cost $50,000. But if you drove a gas-powered versus an electric one until the wheels fell off and the gasoline was well maintained. In other words, you got the oil changes when you were supposed to. You used synthetic oil. You used better gasoline. All those things. The total cost of ownership is with the electric vehicle is half or up to 65-70% that of the gasoline powered vehicle, same style. So in for that, it's great. This is going a little faster than I thought, and I want to talk about my trip a little bit this last week to Michigan, where I got to experience firsthand a Cadillac Escalade IQ, which is the latest and greatest SUV, full-size SUV, all-electric vehicle that General Motors is putting out. But the Tesla, so mine's a 2020 Tesla Model 3, was available in standard range, long range, and performance trims, offering different features like rear-wheel drive or dual motor, which mine was, dual motor, all-wheel drive. And so the drivetrain, again, all-wheel, what's called dual motor, AWD, 0 to 60, 4.4 seconds, 425 horsepower, a range, it says 322. I never saw that. I think I've seen about 280 to 300. And it's got premium interior, heated rear seats, heated front seats. It's got a nice tablet. It's like a 15-inch tablet made by Samsung, and it's held up. I mean, I'll get in the car sometimes in these 100-degree summer days, and it's so hot, that tablet, and I'm just amazed that it continues to function. But the vehicle is nice. The air conditioning, the velocity of the fans is not what I'd hope. It seems to take a while to get up to full speed, and like again on these hot days, it makes it a little uncomfortable. Let's fast forward to my vacation because we're at 17 minutes now. And so my cousin, he works for General Motors, has for a long time now, and he works in the proving grounds. His expertise is drivetrains. And used to work with Tahoes and Suburbans, but now he works in the electric vehicle department. And part of his job is to practically test vehicles, and he gets to keep them for like a year, and he can use them however he wants, to and from work. If he wants to go to the lake for the weekend, go fishing, take the family, whatever, go skiing, snowboarding, whatever. He can actually travel across country with them. They want that because they want the feedback. So what he had was a 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ, and it is the new flagship electric SUV that offers immense power, no doubt about it, a vast driving range, yes, a cabin loaded with cutting-edge technology. And this is what's amazing. It had, I think it was stunning. It was the digital display, and it's curved like a curved monitor, but it's all across the front of the vehicle, and it's a 55-inch display. It basically dominates the cabin. It offers crisp, high-resolution graphics. I mean, it's really cool. Too cool to explain, but 55 inches all the way across the dash. And talk about powerful, the dual motor all-wheel drive, which his was, had, I think, 680 horsepower of torque in normal mode, and then up to 750 horsepower in what's called Velocity Max mode, and that's for quick acceleration, but it's already quick. It had an unbelievable driving range for something as big as it is, so 460-mile range, which is crazy for a vehicle that weighs, it's super heavy, but it's agile given its size. It's got four-wheel steering, which makes it really easy to navigate. Couldn't think of the word I was saying. But you can get in a tight parking spot, without having to go wide or anything like that. I've got a Chevy pickup, and it seems like I have to go wider and wider each time. And some of these towns aren't made for large SUVs or pickups, but this makes it really nice. It's got a low center of gravity, but these massive batteries, they weigh 9,000 pounds. But even given that, it's the whole, I say the batteries. They're massive batteries, but the whole vehicle weighs 9,000 pounds. But it's surprisingly maneuverable. But it really, really nice with that four-wheel parking for tight parking situations. Fast charging. It's got an 800-volt electrical architecture, allows for rapid DC fast chargers. It actually adds up to 100 miles of range in just 10 minutes, which is nice. So you can add, in 30 minutes, And that's the key. So you want to charge at, say, a convenience store that has, fast chargers, DC chargers. And in the meantime, you hook it up, start charging, go into the convenience store, get a couple of world famous burritos and a really tall drink, and maybe a little bag of white powdered donuts. And by the time you're done, and take them out to your vehicle and maybe eat a burrito or two, make sure you get the hot sauce, and answered a text or email or two, it's ready to go. So it's not that troublesome or cumbersome to have to wait for the charge, because go to the bathroom. I mean, there's a number of things you can do while you're waiting. It is luxurious, no question about it. That Cadillac Escalade IQ, wow. The cabin features a posh, modern design, mostly high-end materials, tasteful metallic leather seats. I said tasteful metallic, I meant tasteful metallic accents. Here it has, there are a few cons, no doubt about it. I wrote a lot of this down. The first one is this. I'm talking to my cousin, and he says, "What do you think this cost?" And I said, man, I don't know. What's the MSRP? He says, and I said, it's Cadillac. I mean, and it's the cutting edge. We're at 22 minutes, so I need to speed up a little bit. I said, I'm going to guess 115. He goes, guess again. I said, one higher or lower? He goes, higher. And I said, 130. And he goes, the one he's testing retails for $165,000. So that's gonna price most people out of the market. I mean, most. So they're extremely expensive. Starting price around 130, but this is a higher trim package, and most are going to be over 150,000. But it's significantly more expensive than many electric SUV alternatives, but particularly including the gas-powered counterparts. It's very heavy, 9,000 pounds, poor efficiency. To achieve range, the Escalade IQ relies on a massive battery rather than efficiency. Its mileage per kWh is poor compared to smaller electric vehicles. And this is something that I've found out the techies are not very excited about. Complicated and limited infotainment. Infotainment. I didn't even know that was a word. So it has no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. GM has made the controversial decision to eliminate smartphone mirroring from its new EVs, which is a deal breaker for many drivers, especially those that are tech savvy and care about, things like that. It's got a cramped third row. It's hard to get to. It's got compromised visibility. You're going to find that in anything. I'm not going to sit here and dog it. What I noticed is when my cousin accelerated, we didn't drive it. He said we could, but again, he's supposed to treat it like his own, so normally he would let us drive his vehicle. But it's a bit jumpy, almost too much torque when he's going into a curve and accelerating. I could almost feel it skipping, and I think that's the all-wheel drive at almost 700 horsepower, and we're turning. And you would think my Tesla could, and it has the lower center of gravity, so it doesn't have a tendency to move at all. It's just like glued to those curves. And the Tesla's like made for curving at high velocity and high torque. But this one wasn't. Another thing that I found, my son and I got out of the vehicle when we were traveling once, and it's pretty high off the ground, which most SUVs are. So we just kind of slide out. But my cousin had told us before we even got in it that it has a hydraulic system in it, airbag that lowers it and raises it. When you get in, it's low. Then when it starts driving, it fills those corners up with air and it raises it up. So we'd already slid out, and I hear shh, and my son and I look at the back tire and we think, whoa, we we got a nail or something. And I said, hollered at my cousin, said, hey, I can hear some air. And he goes, that's that hydraulic system lowering so you guys could get out easier. Well, we were already out. So I would say that's a con. Do your homework, guys. If you're going to be looking at EVs, give me a call if you want to talk personally about my experience with an EV, especially if you're here locally listening to this. Farmers Electric, Clovis, New Mexico. Give me a shout. My name's Tom. I'm the only Tom in the building. This day in history, September 6th. Marquis de Lafayette. He's the French aristocrat who fought with the colonists in the American Revolution. He was born September 6, 1757. So I thought 1757. He was here. I looked it up. 1776, our revolution. He got here in 1777. He was 19 years old, folks. We got 30-year-olds still living in their mom and dad's basement. And some of them, well, I'll refrain. You know what I'm talking about. 19 years old, and he's a American and French hero. I have to tell you this, though. My cousin that lives in Georgia was visiting on this first cousin's reunion I just got back from. That's why I was in Michigan in the first place. We got to go watch a New York Mets play the Detroit Tigers on Labor Day, which was fun. We're at 27 minutes, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. We had 43 seats at the ball game, and that was pretty incredible. We had a great time. But one of my cousins she wasn't there this time, but she lives in Georgia. Her mom was from Michigan, my dad's sister. They had 7 children in their family, and only a couple of them left. One went to New York, one of his sisters, and the other one went to Georgia. But I was telling her about a little town that I'd driven through in Georgia one time, and I was really impressed with it. It was Lafayette, Georgia. She goes, excuse me? She goes, down in these parts, we say Lafayette. So, if you're in Georgia, it's not Lafayette. It's Lafayette. In 1522, on this day, September 6th, one of Ferdinand Magellan's 5 ships, the Victoria, arrives in Spain, thus completing the first circumnavigation of the world. The Victoria was commanded by Basque navigator Juan Sebastian de Elcano, who took charge of the vessel after Magellan was killed in the Philippines in April of 1521. During the long, hard journey home, the people on the ship suffered from starvation, scurvy, and harassment by Portuguese ships. Only Elcano and 21 other passengers survived to reach Spain. Folks, they circumvented the earth in a ship 503 years ago. That's almost as hard to believe as Marquis de Lafayette being 19 years old when he fought in the American Revolution. 503 years ago. On September 6, 1995, Baltimore Orioles shortstop Cal Ripken Jr. plays in his 2,131st consecutive game. And he broke the Iron Horse Lou Gehrig's record for the most consecutive games played. That's just hard to believe. 2,131 consecutive games. I'm not sure how many seasons that was. But I remember Cal Ripken playing, Cal Ripken Jr. He was a great player. I specifically remember his retirement. September 6th, this is the last one in this day in history. In 1997, an estimated 2.5 billion people around the globe tuned in to television broadcasts of the funeral of Diana, Princess of Wales, who died at the age of 36 in a car crash in Paris the week before. During her 15-year marriage to Prince Charles, the son of Queen Elizabeth II and heir to the British throne, Diana became one of the most famous most photographed people on the planet. Her life story was fodder for numerous books, television programs, and movies, and her image appeared on countless magazine covers. It was a tragedy that took the world by surprise, and at the young age of 36, Diana, Princess of Wales, died. But 2.5 billion people tuned into that funeral. They thought a lot of her. So my trip to Michigan was cool. I'm right at 30 minutes. I'll go a couple minutes over. To see that mini family, all three of my kids now live in Michigan. So where might I be headed in retirement? I know it's cold up there. I know that's what you're thinking. But you know what? They have a lot of snow, yes. But that snow turns into moisture in the ground, and they get a lot of rain in the spring and a lot of rain in the summer. And it was gorgeous. The temperatures were in the mid-70s every day we were there for the last week. There was no wind, and the trees and the grass, and I don't know if you know this, but most of those communities up in Michigan, in the suburban area anyway, don't have fences. It's like their backyards are just like one big park. I asked my cousin, he's got a big place. One of my cousins, we were barbecuing the day before the game. And I said, well, how much land do you have here? And he said, he thought it was about a third of an acre or maybe half an acre. But, man, so many trees and just such beautiful, tall, fescue grass. And the smell in the morning, the smell in the evening, the moisture in the air. I tell you what, I'm looking forward to retirement, frankly, because, and we're already shopping. I keep telling my wife, quit shopping for these houses. We're finding the perfect one, and we're not even, at the point where we can do anything about it. So, but we were able to visit my daughter. She flies with Delta. She's a flight attendant. My son works for Menards Home Improvement Center. And then my other son just moved up there. He lives in Kalkaska. My middle son lives in Kalamazoo. And then my youngest lives in Kalkaska, Michigan, which is in northern Michigan, northwestern Michigan, excuse me. And so he's going to get a little bit of the lake effect. He's probably 25 minutes from Lake Michigan. So they do get quite a bit more snow. But again, he's a forester, and he's working as a forest technician as in one of the conservation districts there. So he is pretty excited. He and his new bride of 4 months as of 3 days ago. But I tell you what, time flies, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a fantastic time talking about EVs and my trip and this day in history and the shout out. So I want to say hi again to the Barlabans and thank them for listening. But we're on different platforms. We're on YouTube. We are on, go to our channel, it's Farmers Electric Cooperative, or FECNM, I believe, FECNM, Farmers Electric Cooperative, New Mexico. And that's where we put all of our Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy podcast. So this is number 12. But like us and follow us, subscribe. We'd appreciate it. We're also on Spotify. We are a podcast. We are also on Apple Podcasts. So there's no excuses, folks. You need to tune in. And speaking of tune in, we'll see you next Saturday, same time.